Alright, here we are with another video. Today we're going to be going over tuning, and then I'm also going to try and squeeze in some hairpins, show you guys how to properly take those. So I know a lot of us have been struggling with them. I still struggle with them, but hopefully I can shed some light. Alright, so the car we're using today is the MR2 SE from Toyota. When you first buy this car, or when you first get it, it's going to be a PI of 296, I believe. And you won't be able to tune anything except for the PSI for your tires. However, 4 PI is plenty to install all the things you need to tune up your ride, to unlock everything, as well as stick a flywheel on there, or an upgraded flywheel. So let's go through the upgrades real quick. What I got going here. Here we go. So we got the brakes are up to race. The chassis reinforcement is race as well. We have front anti-roll bars, rear anti-roll bars, spring and dampers. And then we have a transmission installed, race, a differential, and we have some aerodynamics, so rear wing, front bumper, rear bumper, and hood. And that is it. And then a flywheel is set to street. Yeah, so this car is basically stock except for those upgrades, and that's all we really need. So I'm gonna go through here. 31, 35. I'm gonna lower these. 30. Yeah, so generally you want, depending on the car's weight distribution, you'll want the tire, if the most of the weight's in the front, then you want the tires in the front to have a little bit more pressure. If all the weight's in the back, then you'll want the tires in the back to have a little bit more pressure. And I'm not actually sure. Let me see. What do I got here? Okay, yeah. So this has like about 53% of it is in the front, and 46 or 7 is in the back. So our tire pressures reflect that now. Yeah. Okay. So our transmission upgrade unlocked our gear ratios, which is really important when you are trying to adjust your ride for a specific track. So for this one, I'm actually going to drop it down to, this is the final drive, by the way, so this affects all the gears all at once. It's a little bit easier than just trying to figure out each gear individually. I'm going to drop this all the way down to 120. And you wanted to pay attention to the acceleration when it says 0 to 60. 7.0. Keep dropping this down. So we're already down below 7 seconds. We're going to see, maybe if we go down to 115. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.90 s, 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.834 s, quarter mile 15.40 s, top speed 128.2 miles per hour, value 115 miles per hour max, 5.27 ratio from speed to acceleration. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.90 s, 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.834 s, quarter mile 15.40 s, top speed 100, value 114 miles per hour max, 5.34. And you want to pay attention to the 0 to 60 and then the 0 to 100. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.83 s, 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.72 s, quarter mile 15.367 s, top value 110 miles per hour max, 5.50 ratio from speed to acceleration.
Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.867 s. 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.765 s. Quarter mile 15.3. Value 108 miles per hour max 5.63 ratio. From speed. Value 107 miles per hour max 5.70 ratio. Value 106 miles per hour max 5.75 ratio. From speed to acceleration. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.867 s. 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.696 s. Quarter mile 15.3 ps. Value 106 miles per hour max 5.74
Originally this was about 110. This is a Class E car, so it's not going to be going very fast.
Forward gears, second, 3, value, 43 miles per hour max, 1, forward gears, first, 2, value, 47 miles per hour max, 2.89 ratio, from speed to acceleration, forward gears, second, 3, value, 43 miles per hour max, 1, forward gears, third, 4, value, 57 miles per hour max, forward gears, fourth, 5, value, 74 miles per hour max, forward gears, fifth, 6, value, 91 miles per hour max, forward gears, 6, 7, value, 109 miles per hour max, 0.78 ratio, from speed.
This first gear is a little weird.
1, value, 110 miles per hour max, 5.54 ratio, from speed to acceleration. Forward gears, first, 2, value, 47 miles per hour max, 2.89, value, 29 miles per hour max, 2.90 ratio, forward gears, second, 3, value, 43 miles per hour max, 1.9.
I wasn't really sure why that was set to that.
From speed to acceleration. V button setup manager, Y button toggle, B button back, A button apply, left bumper previous route, right bumper next route. Value 110 miles per hour max, 5.53 ratio, from speed to acceleration. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour 6.867 s. 0 to 100 miles per hour 20.74 s. Quarter mile 15.3. Forward gears, first, 2, value, 29 miles per hour max. Forward gears, second, 3, value, 43 miles per hour max, 1.99 ratio.
So, and you're all this will also let you know like how fast you're going to when you're in these gears. So, like in fourth gear, it says the max speed is 74. So, if I'm at the top of fourth gear, I'm going 74 miles an hour. If I'm in between that, then between 57 and 74 miles an hour. So it's good to keep in mind, especially when taking these like hairpin turns, because you'll figure out which gear you're in when you take it in one car, and then that gear in another car might be different. So you have to figure out like how to match your speed by doing so. So we're going to look at our camber here. Let me back up real quick. So gears, it's talking about like a ratio here, and if I understand it correctly, when it says like 2.90 ratio, that means that the gear itself is actually spinning 2.9 times for every time the actual wheel moves or spins one full rotation. So the tire itself will spin one full rotation every 2.9 gear rotation. So that's what that actually means. So these over here, 0.78 ratio. So the gear is 0.78. It spins 0.78 times, so not even a full rotation, and then the tire will spin once. So just keep that in mind as well. It's mostly to deal with like how much power is being applied to the wheel, and how much like torque, and it can affect the acceleration and all that good stuff. Yeah. So. And once you get into like stronger, more powerful cars, that'll come into play more, because if you've ever hopped into like an A class or a T class car or whatever, and you just stomped on the gas and your tires peeled out, is because the torque is exceeding your grip on the tires. So you have to like not apply all the throttle at once, so you have to build up slowly. Yeah, anyways, and you can adjust all that stuff in the gear settings. If you want to be able to step on the pedal and not have to worry about that, then you can definitely adjust the gear to be longer, and it'll remove that from happening. So we're going to look at our camber. So we're at minus 0.7. We're going to move this all the way to 1.5. Unfortunately, our camber settings are not going to be ideal, because we can't view the telemetry information, which is what you would use to dial these factors in. However, setting it between -1 and 2 is usually the right move here on most cars. Our toe is something that you can do like preferential. It's up to you what you want. So if you want a car that's a little bit more twitchy through turns, like you know, that's eager to go through to start turning. You can set this to from anywhere from 0.1 to like 0.3. I really wouldn't add more than that, but you can if you really want. But the more you add, the less stable your car is going to be in a straight line. Toe rear, I would either do 0 or negative 0.1. And what this does is it stabilizes the car. So it does the opposite of the toe out. And because it's in the rear, it's going to straighten the car out a little bit more. Our caster, so this right here is the angle that the axle connects to, I think, the suspension or the drive shaft, something like that. Essentially, if you've ever like looked at the wheel at the bottom of like a chair, like a computer chair, you'll notice like the pin that holds it in place to the chair is kind of at an angle or in relation to the wheel, and this is in order to allow the wheel to spin to actually match the direction that you're moving the chair in. So if you have it like at a severe like 90-degree angle, it's gonna fall into place immediately, but it's not gonna be really stable when you're going at high speeds. You notice this if you ever like try to move across the floor really fast on those chairs and the wheels start like kind of wobbling a little bit. So you generally want to keep this between 5 and 7. I usually do about 6. And then yeah, but all this is preferential. If you notice the car kind of lagging, you might raise this a little bit. Generally higher is better, but you don't want to go too high because then the car itself becomes unstable. So yeah, okay. Next thing, anti-roll bar. So this is also one of those preferential things. Softer in the front, stiffer in the back is usually how I go, because a softer front reduces understeer. Stiffer back will allow less oversteer. Generally you want these to be around the same values. So if you have like 18, let's set this to 18, and then if you want the rear to be stiffer, then you would put it about, I don't know, 2 or 3 points higher. So we're gonna go up to 21, 25, 20. Value 22.75 from soft. Value 22.45 from soft to stiff. Value 21.95 from soft to stiff. Value 21.35 from soft to stiff. Value 21.05 from soft to stiff. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. So, like I said, when you increase the softness on the front, it reduces understeer. So, important to be aware of if you and this is only when you're entering a turn, really, because that's when the weight is transferring. And then the rear stiffer will make oversteer less of an issue. And that's, like I said, it's only when you enter a turn, which is good for keeping your car stable, which is really important through hairpins. So, yeah. So this is our springs. So when it says 600 some change pounds per inch, it's talking about the compression of the spring. So when you compress the spring 1 inch, it takes 633 pounds. And this is really important because it's really dependent on your car's weight. Initially, I believe these are set up to match your car's weight. So if we go down to ride height, 6.7 inches. So if we compress the spring 6.7 inches, 633 times 6.7 is about
Springs. Front. 1.
Something
Value.
like
635 double slash. Front stop to 2.
3,800. That's probably honestly a little bit much. I can probably lower that. Let me just double check. Hey Google, what is 633 times 6.7?
633 times 6.7 is 4,241.1.
Yeah, so this is designed for a very heavy car. So we're actually going to check out how much our car weighs. I believe it's like 2,000 pounds. It's pretty light, 2,400.
Car stats, 1989, Toyota, MR2SC, RWD, car class, E, performance index, 300, 1.6 L4 PDSC, 145 HD, 140 LVFT, 2,730 pounds.
2,730 pounds. Alright. So we're gonna lower this a little bit. Oh, what's the lowest? 5.5. Hey Google, what is 2,730 divided by 5?
2,730 divided by 5 is 546.
Okay, so there we go. We're gonna lower our springs to about 500. We'll do 580. And then we will lower the rear down to 500 and about 550. Oh, that's too stiff. I mean, I went down too far.
Value 472.2 LB slash in from soft to stiff. Value 533.7 LB slash in from soft to stiff.
So you want to lower ride height because it helps your car corner better because the gravity is lower. So
value 547.2 LB slash in from soft to stiff. 549.2 LB slash in from soft. Value 550.2 LB slash in from soft to stiff. Acceleration 0 to 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's just optimal, and it also helps with like aerodynamics and all that good stuff. Alright, so yeah, so we checked the weight of the car, and then we divided that by the ride height. We left about half an inch just for clearance. Yeah, and then that gave us our rear springs that we rounded it up a little bit, and then we added on about 30 pounds to the front because of how the weight distribution is. Yeah, okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see, bump stiffness 4.5, 6.8.
Bump stiffness, front, 1, value 4.5, from soft to stiff. Rebound stiffness, front, 3, value 6.8, from soft to stiff.
We're actually going to raise this a bit.
Value 7.4, from soft to stiff. Accelerate, value 7.5, from soft to stiff.
Okay, so bump stiffness and rebound stiffness, they are essentially, like when your tire hits a bump or like if you hit a bump in the road, normally what will happen is the springs will compress, and they will basically readjust the suspension of the car. So let's say you're going up a hill, right? So the springs will compress, and then over time they will return to their natural positioning. However, if you just hit a bump, they're gonna compress and then release a little bit more quickly because of the rebound stiffness, because it's what's telling the car, hey, like you don't have to stay in this position anymore. Now that transition, if you hit a bump versus going up a hill, it's gonna require different things. So you got to have it set based on the track. So if you know there's a lot of elevation changes, you'll want to adjust the rebound to be a little bit slower. But if it's, you know, just a pretty flat track, then you want it to be a little bit faster, because if you do hit any bumps, you want the car back into shape as soon as possible. Let's see. Yeah, so the rebound should always be about a third higher than the bump stiffness as well. So this is something you also encounter in chicanes. So if you're making a lot of turns left and right, it's going to unsettle the weight of the car, so it's going to be shifting a lot. So if it takes too long for your car to shift its weight, which can result in laggy what's the word, like laggy turn, so you won't start turning in time. You can raise these to be higher. So I am actually going to set these to, I think 13 is like the highest, but I'm just going to try 10. I'm going to set this to 10.
Value 9.6 from softest. Value 9.8 from softest. Value 10.0 from soft. Rebound stiffness.
Set this to 7.
Acceleration 0 to 60 mile. Value 5.8 from softest. Value 6.5 from softest. Value 6.8 from softest. Value 7.0 bump stiffness. Front 1. Value 4.5 from softest. Value 4.7 from softest. Value 6.6 from soft. Value 7.0 from softest.
Alright.
Acceleration. Suspension
geometry. So this one will reduce understeer. The roll center height offset for the front. So I generally keep it about 1 inch, negative 1 inch.
Acceleration 0 to 60 miles. Value minus 0.8 in from low to high. Value minus 1.2 in from low to high.
I don't really adjust the rear. So the front, lowering the front will reduce the amount of understeer that you'll encounter when turning into a corner. And then the rear, adjusting that will also, you can make more or less oversteer based on how much you apply here. I just keep it at 0 though. It's basically like anti-roll bars, but for forward and backwards movements, which only comes into play when accelerating or decelerating. You don't really touch the stuff. Yeah. Alright. So we have our aerodynamics here, and like it says, from speed to cornering. So if you want more speed, then you would just reduce the amount of downforce. And I do not want a lot of downforce. And look at that. If you pay attention to the acceleration, we actually reduced our top speed or not top speed, 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 by about half a second, which is not a ton, but it's good. It's a good improvement. And we want, so this is rear wheel drive, so I'm going to put this up to about 55, so we want more braking in the front and less in the back. Actually, I'm going to do 47. 47%, 3% more in the back and the front is usually my go-to, because it just helps stabilize the car. If you're losing control, you just tap the brakes and it'll help straighten out the car. But yeah, that's basically the brake bias, so it'll change the amount of braking across the car. Applying more brakes in the front will help you turn in better, but it can also cause a bit of understeer if you're going, depends on your speed, and the type of corner. So just generally just play around with it, see what you prefer, but I wouldn't ever go below 40 or above 60. Differentials. So we're in a rear-wheel drive car, and these will change depending on what kind of car you're in. So we're going to set this to 45. I think that's right. So this is something that changes from car to car. So all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. These acceleration values and deceleration values will change depending. And we're going to change this. I think this actually. No. Deceleration should be about 10. Value 13% for value 10% for low high. Okay. So we have 50% acceleration and 10% deceleration. So what this does is the inside wheel when you're turning and the outside wheel are traveling different lengths, because the inside is going to be traveling a shorter distance than the outside, so they need to turn at different speeds, and this basically locks them into place. If they so if you set them to 100, they won't change at all. They'll be spinning at the same speed as each other, which can cause a lot of tire degradation, and it just doesn't allow for a smooth turn. So if you set it all the way down to 0, then they're completely free to spin at different rotations. But this actually makes it difficult to apply all power, because then the car is going to start applying all the power to the wheel that has less resistance. So basically what this is telling your car is apply 50% more to the wheel with the least amount of resistance, and that way you can travel faster through the turn. You get more traction, but you also end up losing a little bit of power through the turn on both sides. But it kind of works out, because if both of the tires are able to travel through the turn at the same speed, then it doesn't really matter. So actually, I'm going to raise this up a little bit. I'm going to set this to 65. See how it goes. Actually, yeah, because it was at 70, so... Yeah. And there's a ton of videos online that can explain this a little bit better. I actually would highly recommend watching some of those, because I might be getting some of this stuff confused. It's a lot to learn. So, yeah, that's basically it. We have our differential, our brakes, aero, suspension. And there's a lot of tooltips that actually explain all this stuff too, but I know they're kind of difficult to understand, and you don't really know what you should set the values to. Yeah, so let's give this a go. So, back. I had to restart the game because of the weird saving message bug. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is the Eagle Rock Club layout.
Left 2 is the right hairpin. Left 4 is the left 4 long.
Segment score 1.0. Fifth. Fourth. Third. 30 lap. Off track.
Oh, yeah,
Press Y. Rewinding.
Rewind a little bit. I was trying to
Rewinding.
slow down a bit more, but I ran out of time.
Rewind done.
Okay,
A button resonate from here. Y button rewind further. E button cancel. Fourth.
so I'm gonna coast up here.
Third. Second. First. Second. Third. Second. Third. Personal best for segment turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Personal best segment plus 20 CXP. Segment score 1.0. Fifth. Press Y button to rewind. Segment score 1.0. Sixth. Last lap 30.00 minutes. 55.337 seconds. Third lap. Inherited.
Left 2 is the right hairpin. Left 4 is the left 4 long.
Segment score 5.9. Fourth. Third. Second. First. Second. Third. Fourth. Segment score 1.0. Fifth. Sixth. Segment score 3.3. Last lap 30.00 minutes. 53.305 seconds.
Left 4 long.
Alright. So, yeah, that was a little rough because my headphones started disconnecting all of a sudden in the middle of that. Like, I'm still getting static. I don't know why. I think it's because where I'm sitting. the batteries might be dying. But yeah, so essentially when you enter the turn, you want to be as steady as possible, and you want to enter that you want to enter it at the right angle. It sounds so much simpler than it actually is, but you want to make sure that the track limits, because also right there it narrows really tight. It's really really tight to enter, but you want to follow the road, slow down, and the whole idea is to get down to a speed that you can take the entire corner through, and you don't want to really accelerate until you exit on the other side. So I'm going to try and do this one more time, but I might need to switch controllers.
Last lap 0 1 minutes, 18.228 seconds.
Left 4 long.
6th. 5th.
Left 2 into right hairpin. Left 4 into left 4 long.
Segment score 5.2. Level up 250 CP. 4th. 3rd. 2nd. 3rd. 4th. Personal best for segment turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Personal best segment plus 20 CS key. Segment score 3.4. 5th. Segment score 5.4. Last lap 0 minutes, 49.644 seconds.
Left 4 long.
Okay, so my controller is still behaving strangely, like it's cutting out the audio. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure out what's going on there. But as you can see, or hear, it didn't really affect my driving. Actually, I did better. That's probably the best I've ever taken that turn. So yeah, you want to get down to a manageable speed. You know, use rewind as much as you have to in order to get through, and just keep practicing it over and over again. Get your speed down to a level where you can take the turn without going off the track, and then just keep building up your speed more and more each time. If you find yourself struggling with it, try adjusting some of your suspension settings. Increase your front anti-roll bar, or decrease it. I think what helped me there was the bump stiffness on this car. When I was doing that before, I noticed that the car had a tendency to lag when I tried to turn. In that turn specifically, it would, because it's a hard left into a right hairpin and then back into a left, so it's kind of like a mini chicane. So yeah, it's a tricky turn, but with some practice you can accomplish great things. So enter slowly, build up speed only when you have your exit lined up, especially in that turn. So yeah, this has been my tutorial on tuning and going through hairpins. I should have written this ahead of time, but I'll be better next time. If you guys want any more videos on how all this stuff works, or if you just want to watch me play, but that's totally doable as well. Yeah, till next time.